Demo of Phil Hahn and debate. Take 1. Action. Greetings, Phil. We hear that you're thinking of throwing your hat into the arena of New Jersey politics. Is that true?
Yes, I'll be attempting to run as an independent in the November election this year.
Well, good luck. And by the way, why should anyone support you?
Well, I'm running on the platform of the status quo. I've had a chance to look around, and it occurs to me that there are more things right with this country than are wrong. That I was born on Washington's birthday. I'm a big fan of George Washington.
The stars seem to have lined up correctly on that one if you were trying to imply that people should vote for you because you were born on George Washington's birthday.
Why not? Yeah, right. Besides the fact George Washington is a Pisces, so is Ted Kennedy.
So you are the candidate that is the insider, even though you have never held political office before.
This is true, but I did learn a little bit about leadership in the Air Force and National Guard.
What makes you believe that you can beat a person backed by a political party and its political machine?
YouTube.com. It's amazing how democratic YouTube makes everything. So what if a few people get annoyed at me for spamming them with a reminder about my latest political video?
Do you think that you'll ever attract 2 billion viewers like the royal couple on their wedding date?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were married already, and this is all just a show for the people. But let's just put it this way. Rome, England, and the United States were not created overnight, and I'm just running in a local election right now.
Will you be soliciting donations online?
I have to check the campaign laws on that one to see if I can do it.
Some people say that you're trying to circumvent the campaign finance laws with your record label.
That accusation would be a lot more credible if I sold a little bit more music. If only I could get my music in front of 2 billion people. Maybe I should get a 1-800-NUTCAKE number like Jerry Brown had in 1988.
Maybe you should try news media. In the meantime, let's have a look at some issues.
Okay.
How would you respond to all the debt the state has?
Well, dude, that's a tough one. If interest rates ever go back to 8%, all the debt that has been issued could be purchased in the aftermarket for pennies on the dollar.
On your resume, this veteran of civil courts of New Jersey catches my eye. What do you mean by this?
Well, I've become a kind of Ralph Nader lately.
Didn't he help lead the demise of GM in the last part?
Yeah, I think, his whole, Corvair, unsafe at any speed, probably played a role to some extent, ultimately with the demise of General Motors. But you'll be happy to know that I'll only be targeting American competitors in my product's liability actions.
What do your crusades have to do with your elected office?
That's a good question. I guess people that I help retain their competitive edge might appreciate it and vote for me.
How will you be any different from the guys behind the golden fleece on Wall Street back in the 80s?
Well, when I blow up a client, or in this case a competitor, it will be because they have a defective product that is harming the American people.
That seems to work well with the national... That seems to work... I think it's supposed to be well. That seems to work well with the whole National Guard thing.
Yes, it does. Back when I was in the National Guard, I was never too particularly fond of the prospect of carrying out our ultimate mission. Maybe if we can get the enemy over here, we can just sue him to death. If that doesn't work, I'll just try and make them all fat, drunk, and stupid.
That doesn't sound much like something from Hellfighters from the Pacific. As a matter of fact, it sounds all very dull and boring.
Oh, wait, thank you. Fortunately for me, the world seems to have changed for the better.
Tell me about your proposed administration.
Well, for starters, I'll be 24/7 via email.
Do you think the prospect of 24/7 accessibility will get you elected?
It can't hurt. But anybody that aspires to elected office has to remember people like Gerald Ford. The poor guy got shot at by a member of the Manson family because he believed in being accessible to the American people.
What seat will you be seeking?
Well, I'm torn between the district that contains Paramus, as maybe some people still remember me there, or moving somewhere where there's a seat up for grabs that nobody really wants, and I get the seat basically by default.
Didn't you go to high school with the new mayor?
Yes, Rich is an ex-military engineering guy too. We took out, when he won, I took out my old yearbook, and I noticed that he was all over the thing.
That seems like a good place to start.
I'm not sure. Frankly, Rich is one of the fortunate few that became successful enough to stay in Paramus. And most of the people I knew are long gone at this point. Maybe I'll have to go back to my old frat house or National Guard unit to get some signatures for my petition for the November ballot. I hate to think the reason that so many people did not want me to join those organizations was politically motivated.
Well, before I forget, what is your position on the Dalai Lama?
Well, he's not too popular with the Chinese. If necessary, I think he could seek asylum over here.
What is this Not Afraid to Rebuild the Cities of New Jersey all about? How is that going to work?
Well, somebody who wants a new building in the neighborhood just puts a little video of this site on YouTube and sends me a copy of the tax map, and I get to work. Again, I was an engineer. If I don't do it, the Chinese and Indians will. It's a lot more like the world online these days.
Well, I hope your little YouTube.com and email campaign works out. It would serve the Democratic press well.
Well, the democratic process.
Yes,
thank you. And don't forget to register and vote.
And cut. If this was a real interview, what would you think? Please send your comments via email to p800-322-6169x6391 at AOL.com or reply via YouTube.